Hey, how's it going everyone? I thought that this would be a really cool video to make, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make custom anime clothing. Alright, so just a quick disclaimer, I don't claim to be an expert, I don't claim to have a 100% success rate, I am not the one who found this method out, but I just found it really cool, so I want others to know how to do it as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so here are a list of things that you will need to get this customization started. First, you're going to need a clothing item of your choice that you want to customize. I highly recommend testing it out on a cheap garment first, just in case you mess up. You wouldn't want to ruin that perfect pair of pants that you wear on the daily. Now, the pair of pants that I personally used were $9 from Walmart. Now, the second thing that you're going to need is transfer paper, and as far as I know, there are two kinds of transfer paper. You have dark transfer paper and light transfer paper. Now, if your clothing item is any color that is not white, then go with the dark transfer paper. Third, you're going to need parchment paper, which automatically comes with the transfer paper pack, so you don't necessarily need to worry about having that. The fourth thing that you need is, of course, a normal inkjet printer to print out the design once it's done. Fifth, you're going to need a laptop, computer, or desktop to create your design. Now, a cell phone might work, but I personally haven't tried it, so I cannot speak on its reliability. Sixth, you're going to need an iron that either has no steam or a setting to turn off the steam, because the steam will ruin the print if it is being used. Seventh, you're going to need a really hard surface that is not an ironing stand or a carpet. Now, I personally use a cutting board, and that is what I recommend as well. Eighth, which is definitely optional, is Krylon matte finish. So yeah, now that you have those items, or now that you're gonna get them, let's get this customization started. Okay, so unfortunately, I will not be doing a real demonstration because I don't know what design I want to do, but I will list step by step exactly what I did to achieve those pants that you saw at the beginning of the video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first you have to get your garment of choice and wash it properly if it is either brand new or if it is dirty. You want to make sure that you start out with a clean, washed, and dried garment. Okay, so the next thing that you have to do is, of course, make your design on your laptop. Now, once your design is made, make sure that you visualize it, that it will fit properly onto the garment of choice, making sure that it is not way too big or way too small. Now, if you are using light transfer paper, then you must invert the image. And if you're using dark transfer paper, then you could just keep it the way that it is. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is to, of course, take your transfer paper and you have to put it into your printer. Now, on this specific transfer paper, which is dark transfer paper, I'm not sure how it's going to look with light transfer paper, but it is one side that looks like completely normal paper and the opposite side has like lines on it or a line pattern. Some I've seen have grid patterns. So what you're going to have to do is take your paper with the line side or the grid side facing upwards and put it into your printer like that, making sure that the all white side is facing down. Now, I personally only used black ink, so I cannot speak on how colored ink will come out. Okay, so once your design is printed, you're going to want to carefully cut out any of the stuff that you don't want showing. Now, like I said, I use dark transfer paper for this. As you can tell, it has some grid lines, and this is actually a mess up that I did previously, so I kind of just have this as an example. But what you want to do is on light transfer paper, you know, there's a lot more leniency to cut out white portions that are present, but since it is a white garment, then it's not necessarily going to make a huge difference. But on dark transfer paper like this one, you have to make sure that you take out anything that is not wanted, or else it will show in the final product. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to have to do is to place your design either face down if you're using light transfer paper or face up if you are using dark transfer paper. Now, let's pretend that this is light transfer paper. You're going to have to place, of course, your design face down, and then you're going to have to iron it, making sure that, of course, the steam is off. I want to reiterate though that this is not on, so this iron is completely cold. I'm not actually ironing. I just want to demonstrate that I potentially am ironing. So you have to make sure that your, of course, steam is off, and you're going to have to iron the design on there for a plus minus of about a minute or so. A lot of people either say, you know, it's supposed to be less than a minute. Some people say it's supposed to be around a minute. So I would just say plus minus a minute depending on the size of your image. Now you want to make sure that you are applying a lot of pressure, onto the iron so that you can iron it evenly around the whole image and so that it properly adheres on. Now, once that is done, then you're going to have to let it cool down for several minutes. And then supposedly you're supposed to peel off the film that is on top, but of course this is not light transfer paper, so I don't think that there's a film to peel off. But theoretically, once that film is torn off, then you're going to have to fix the image on top by placing parchment paper over the image and then ironing over once more. So once you iron it over with the parchment paper on top, then the image is fixed to the garment. Okay, so now this is still part of that same step, except now I'm going to be talking about the process for the dark transfer paper. You're going to have to carefully peel off the image from the film, which is on the back, but I'm not going to peel this off because I'm not really going to iron on here. So there's a kind of perforation that you're going to have to peel off, and the image and the film will separate from each other. And so once that is done, then you're going to have to place the image wherever you want on your garment and to again iron it on, but make sure that you are using parchment paper over it so that it doesn't adhere to the actual iron. And then you're going to, of course, have to iron it on, placing a lot of force, making sure the steam is off, and for a plus minus of 1 minute. Now, this is done, of course, with the design facing upwards as opposed to downwards on the light transfer paper. So once that is done, then you're going to just have to let it cool off for several minutes, and then it's pretty much done. So once that is done, then you can move on to your very last step. Okay, so like I was saying, this very last step is optional, but I chose to do it, and it's to spray Krylon matte finish evenly along the image and to make sure that you're airing it out for a couple days or until the spray paint smell goes away. Make sure you don't do this inside your house, because if you do, your house is going to smell like spray paint, and I don't want you to blame me because I told you to do it outside the house. Anyways, and just like that, you now have your own custom anime garment. And with that, that's going to wrap up this DIY or tutorial video. Again, results may vary, and you can also watch other tutorials on YouTube if I did not cover, it in depth enough for you. But I hope I did, because, I just said exactly what I did and exactly what I watched from other, tutorials and, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I will link some down below for anyone who is curious. Now, if you made it to the end, a huge thanks to you, and I really, really hope this was helpful. Feel free to, of course, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also feel free to follow or check out my Instagram as well. It is under the same exact name. And with all that being said, it is your boy Athletic Weeb, and I'm out. Peace.